What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Mitch Joseph, aka the Average Joseph, and you guys saw the thumbnail. Today we're actually going to be doing an oil change and an air filter cleaning on the 2014 SRT. Hope this is helpful to somebody, anybody. We're going to walk through and I'm going to give you guys the insight on how you get this done. Let's get started. Okay, to get this project started, I do have a 13mm bolt here. Just to get me started, I got my K&N air filter cleaner and oil, just because I have that aftermarket air filter. And then I got my Pennzoil full synthetic platinum with my oil filter here as well. You can order this oil filter kit online. It's only came up to 70 something bucks. If you go into the dealership to get an oil change, it runs you about anywhere from $80 to $90, and it takes you, depending on how busy they are, anywhere from an hour to, it can be less sometimes, but usually it's like an hour to like an hour and a half, and that always blows my mind because it's like I can do an oil change in like 10 minutes sometimes, depending on the vehicle and if I have help. And so, for me, just using a manual hand jack and doing an oil change myself just saves me time. Essentially, it's only 20 bucks difference. Most people are like, well, I'd rather just spend that 20 bucks and have somebody do it because, you pay for that labor. And I get it. I mean, I would too if I have a busy day, but today actually just so happens to be one of my days off, and I ordered some oil, and I'm hoping also this is going to be helpful to somebody who just wants to do it themselves and save a couple bucks in the process. So let's get started. We're going to jack the car up and make it happen. So one thing I like to do when I'm doing oil changes is that I actually start by popping the hood, because when you start doing your oil change and draining it out from the bottom, you actually want to make sure that it's breathing, so that it flows out. You get it flowing properly, because because the last thing you want is to have, it draining out slow as molasses and just taking forever to get out of there. So as you can see, this vehicle takes about 7 quarts of oil, and as you can see, I got a couple things here to catch my oil. But one extra precaution I like to take, you can go to Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever, but I grab one of these and just lay it down before I start my oil change. Medium duty, waterproof. It's plastic, and it just helps, gives you that extra piece of mind, because really you can really make a mess when you start doing oil change. You can really start making a mess. So I just roll out a little piece. This I've had for close to a year now, and so I mean, you can do the math. It lasts pretty long, and it does quite a few jobs. So get about arm's length, my arm's length at least. I just open it up to about my arm's length, and then I just cut it. So let me grab my utility knife over here. Where is that at? Probably help if I had a more organized toolbox too. Oh, here it is. So grab my utility knife over here, and then, like I said, just about arm's length is good. Pop that open and just cut that. I'm gonna have to put this camera down real quick so I can cut this clean. Just give it a straight cut across. Helps if you have a utility knife or just a really sharp knife. You want like a razor blade or something like that, because it makes the cut more clean, and that way you're not like sitting there hacking at it for minutes and minutes. So anyway, this is just prep time stuff, and usually, guys, this is a lot quicker. Obviously, I'm holding the camera with one hand, so it's a little bit trickier, but it is what it is. So Let me just lay this down right here. Camera right here. And lay down. So, some people, you know, I cut a bigger piece than I actually need, just because some cars, when you start draining the oil from the bottom, yeah, some of them are on an angle, and so they shoot out on an angle, and so you end up putting your pan down, and instead of it just going straight into the bowl, it actually flies that way, and then you have a mess. Luckily, this one points straight down, and I'll get under here and show you guys in a minute. But let me get my creeper going. Actually, first, you want to do is get up here and just open this up and let it breathe. There you go. So now we got, you know, we got air flowing in there, and it's gonna help the flow happen at the bottom end of it. What I'll do is I'll show you guys this first. So I'll go ahead and move this out of the way, but I'll show you exactly where to find this and how this is gonna come into play. So I got an extension on my ratchet here, but you know, I don't think you necessarily need it. I might have to grab some light under here because it's kind of dark. I'm not sure if the camera's gonna pick it up. Okay, so this right here is our bolt. So you come underneath the car, and this is gonna be our bolt right here. We're gonna take this off first, and then if you look up in that corner over there, that blue thing is our oil filter. Then we're gonna take that off and let that oil drain there again. Now I'll use a funnel for that so that it doesn't just sit there and pour all on the inside. But we're gonna start right here, just get this bolt off and go from there. So hopefully this is picking up well on the camera, but let me go ahead and just get that drained. Okay, now this is gonna be a little tricky, but let's see if I can get in here and show you guys what that, let's get that camera straightened, show you guys what that's gonna look like. So one of the reasons I have an extension on my ratchet here is just because I want to make sure that I got enough room and I'm not like forcing my hand up in there so that you guys can actually see it on the camera. This bolt should not be torqued that tight, so it should come off fairly easily. But let's see. A little tricky to do it with one hand. There we go. I'm gonna go ahead and roll my sleeves up because that oil kind of sprays out on the on that initial when you initially get that bolt loose, and so I don't want it all over my sleeves. I actually like the sweater, so go ahead and just back up a little bit because it's kind of far and I know it's going to splash, but give you guys an idea of what that's going to look like. And it's kind of warm. You want your oil kind of warm just because it helps it flow out better, but there it is. And I'm just going to set this down to the side here. And I just try to keep like a little microfiber cloth around. Just a dirty one I got from doing whatever. And like I said, this is 7 quarts of oil that's in this motor. And so with this little drum that I'm using here to catch it, it's only a 5-quart drum. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's only a 5-quart drum, and so obviously I'm gonna run out of room in a little bit here with this. That's why I got the other one here. And then we just swap that over. So you can see that there. So that one's pretty full already. Swap that one over and it can just finish up the rest. Oil is out. While that's draining, I'm gonna just come over here and pull my air filter off. Now, all that is just, you can see I got the iGen air filter on here. All it is a flathead screwdriver. That's all I need to get this loose. And so back to the toolbox over here, see if we can find us a little flathead. There we go, we already got one. And all I'm gonna do is get this loose. There we go, not too tight, and just wiggle that a little bit. And then just pop that off. Oh, there goes my screwdriver. So just pop that off, and then I'll leave this right here for now. I'll go through and explain the cleaning process for the air filter. It's not that complicated at all. You literally wash it and then put some oil on it. So We should be drained out all of our oil down here, so let's get back underneath the car. Oil filters are a pain in the butt. Like, they're in the most inconvenient, you gotta be a contortionist type places, and it's just hell to get them out. But mine on this car, thankfully, and I'm planning on keeping this car for until the wheels fall off, really. So thankfully, mine on this car are fairly easy to reach. So we got most of the oil out of there, and I'll go ahead and just put this bolt back on, just hand tighten it to start, just to stop that leaking. Again, I don't really want to mess up my sweater that I got on here. And I'm just gonna reach up in here. It's gonna be a tough angle. I'm right-handed, so I'm gonna have to try and flip around. And then I'm just gonna reach up in here. Oh, yep. Thankfully, it's just like it should be, so it's not super duper tight. I already got it loose, and so I'll just get that out of there. And I don't think my funnel's gonna fit in here, so we might end up getting some spill. Luckily, and I don't know how clearly that's coming in, but luckily the geniuses, engineers over there, you can see they have like a little, I don't know, ramp or whatever you want to call it right here. So the oil, when it falls down, is just going to fall onto this. And I'm assuming that's what they put that there for. It's just going to fall onto this thing right here and just flow down. So it'll just guide it like a little reservoir, or like a little gutter trench type thing. So let's go ahead and hold this over a little bit so that we can make sure that oil's falling in, and pull that oil filter off. Oh, yep, it's definitely warm. Oh, it's going down my arm. Oh, come on. There we go. Oh, there it is. Again, guys, this is not a long process at all normally. It's just because I'm walking you guys through it and I have no help. That's one. And two, I'm holding the camera with one hand and trying to get all these angles for you. So we got that filter off, and I got my new filter right here. It's a Pennzoil. I don't know if that's coming up on the camera or not, but there it is. Pennzoil PZ173. It's the one recommended. And I'll try to do a side-by-side comparison here. So this is the filter we just took off, as you guys can see. And this is the one, Pennzoil. It's interesting because this is quite a bit thinner, and so make sure, because last thing I want to do is put the wrong oil filter on there. Anyway, this is the one I ordered off of Amazon, and this is the one they recommended, so I'm assuming it's right, because it came with the oil filter and everything, totaled up to about 73 something or something like that. I'll throw it up on the screen here so you can see. I'll go back through my order history and show you. But anyway, this is our new oil filter. And what I'm gonna do is what's recommended. You can see that gasket in there. It's dry right now. And what most people recommend is that you get your new oil and just stick your finger in there, just get a nice little dab of oil, and just go around that gasket and just get, you know, make sure it's not super duper dry. And all I'm doing is just going to go around that gasket and try to get some oil in there. Alright, and then we're going to reach underneath the car and throw this new oil filter back on. So let me cover this bottle of oil up here. Grab this camera with my other dirty oily hand. I'm going to have to wipe this camera. Covered in oil. Just a nice hand tightening is good. You don't have to get a giant wrench or anything and try to, you know, try to break it off. That's how you run into trouble. That's how you run into real trouble right there. You know, you're not trying to break your oil pan. So I dry it off and then just reach back up in here and give it another last one for the road. And now I can Grab my light again. Now I can reach back up in there and get this bolt all tightened back up. So let me grab my 13 millimeter set up here and just reach up in there. And again, same thing, you don't have to over torque this. You don't want it to be like, the last thing you want to do is break the bolts. You don't want to break any bolts free or anything, because that's the stuff that gets really expensive. Okay, so now that we got that part done, we're gonna grab our oil. We got a couple quarts here. I don't really need a funnel because I could probably pour this just by hand, but for the sake of making sure it's you know, a clean job, you know, just pour that in there. Pour. Some people have, you know, quite a meticulous process with this. I've seen it where some people have actually left that bolt on the bottom for your oil pan, have left that off and just let the oil pour all the way through so that they can see that it's making it all the way down. And you know, whatever, everybody got their own thing, man. So, you know, like I said, 7 quarts of oil here, and we're gonna just grab all these and pour them in there. So let me put you guys on pause real quick. All right, y'all, that's it. Got 7 quarts of oil in there. Now, guys, keep in mind, I'm not by any means a mechanic. Actually, most of the stuff that I learn here is from watching YouTube videos. I just know that in some cases, when it comes to certain vehicles, some videos are less detail. They don't walk you through everything. They just kind of give you the basic stuff. And for me, being new at this stuff, I needed more. Like, I want to know, how do I do this? How do I do that? How do I reset my you know, my oil gauge when I'm done on the inside of the vehicle, which I'm going to show you guys in a little bit. And some people just give you a quick, like, you know, pour the oil in, get that out, blah, 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 blah. And like I said, I'm just your average Joe. I'm not a mechanic. I'm just a guy who learns a lot of stuff off of YouTube, and I'm hoping that, you know, what I'm doing here will help somebody out. And if it does, sweet. So that's it for that. We got our oil changed out in there. Now, normally I would just get you guys an idea of what it would look like to dispose of all this stuff, but I'm not going to walk you through that whole process. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the 5-gallon blah blah blah, and I'm going to pour them right back into these bottles, because what's going to happen is I got to take them up to AutoZone, and they have an oil disposal so you can properly dispose of your oil. Do not pour oil down your drains. Do not throw it in the trash. That's not cool. Bring it to your you know, local body shop. A lot of the some of the body shops will take it for you. Like, I know a local body shop right here in Middleville, they'll take it from me. And a lot of the auto parts stores, quite a few of them have oil disposals, so bring it up to them and dispose of your oil properly. So yeah, I'm not gonna walk you guys through that one, but I am gonna go ahead and pull that stuff out from underneath the car and start it up so that that oil can circulate for a couple seconds, and then we'll get on the inside and see how we reset that that oil meter. So the other benefit of having this all in the bag is that I don't have to slide under here to get them. I just pull them out like it's all one piece. So luckily I can just pull all of that out of there, and I don't have to, you know, be a magician about it. I just slide that whole bag out, and I don't have to crawl under there again. And I mean, as you can see, I got a little bit of dirt on my elbows and stuff like that, but for the most part, it's not a super dirty job. Like, you're not gonna, you know, go in the house with oil on your face like how they make it look on TV. So Okay, so after we let it run for a little bit, now I want to get my oil life back on. I already did this, so I'll just do it again so you guys can see. My oil life was at 7% is what it said. Obviously, when you look at it now, it's going to say 100%. But first thing you're going to do is I'm going to hit this on and put it in the run position. So I'm not going to put my foot on the brake. And then you can see I'm already back at 100, but like I said, I'll do it anyway. And then I'm gonna hit my gas pedal in the run position 1, 2, 3 times, and then I'm gonna shut the car off. After I do that, I'm just gonna hit my foot on the brake and start it like I normally would. And that's what's gonna regenerate your oil life inside the vehicle, so it won't tell you oil change required Sorry about that. So that's what's gonna reset the oil life in the vehicle, so it's not gonna tell you, oil change required every 5 minutes or so. So, yeah, pretty simple. It's kind of like, down, down, up, B, X square, whatever, kind of code. So that's it. And now we can shut that off, and because we're done with the oil change part of it. And now we can go to the oil filter cleaning. Let me shut my garage door now, because I need to turn that heat on. It's still cold over here in Michigan. It's like 34 degrees today. So, all swell that ends swell. I'm not gonna go through the process of showing you guys all that tedious cleanup either, but let's go ahead and turn that heater on. Hopefully the sound's not gonna be too crazy with the heater blowing. It might be. I might have to turn it back off now that I think about it. But anyway, the oil filter. Now, my oil filter right here, as you guys can see. Got my oil filter for my cool air intake. Let's go ahead and tilt this up a little bit. Right here, we got our Can-N air filter cleaner. Now, the process behind this is really simple. You spray the cleaner around the filter, and you literally just take a soft brush. You can buy these in packs of 3s. It usually comes with like a harder wire brush and then this softer one. And all I'm gonna do is come back to my air filter and just brush it off. Brush it off, brush it off. And all I'm trying to do is just get all the, hopefully you guys can see that. Yeah, I'm just brushing it off. And all I want to do is get the dirt off of there. So I'm just going to do that around the entire air filter. And let's put this right here. After I get that part done, I'm just going to grab my air filter oil. That's just to make sure that the air filter doesn't get all dried out and cracked and yada yada yada. And again, let me just put this camera down right here. And I'm just gonna light spray around it. Light spray like I'm doing a paint job. About 2 passes around, and that's it. And then I'm gonna let that sit for a little bit. Yeah, I'll just let that sit for a little bit, and then I'll pop that air filter right back on. You guys already know it's just a flathead screwdriver. So you pop it back in there, tighten it, shut the hood down, and that's it. And I mean, that's your basic maintenance on as far as things that you're gonna have to do every couple months, depending on how much you drive on a day-to-day is going to depend on how many times you're doing this process. It's never going to be, unless you're like really putting some miles on it, it's never going to be more than once a month ever. I usually go at least 2.5, 3 months before I need to do this again. So but again, if this was helpful to you, then awesome. If it was not helpful to you, you feel like you saw something that was incorrect, or you do it differently, or whatever the case is, just comment, let me know. I'm always looking to be educated, so hook me up. You might do something a little different that might save me time too. So like I said, I learned all of this from YouTube, and so I'm not gonna act like I'm some super professional about any of this stuff. I just know what works. I know what I've seen work, and if I can do it in a different way that helps somebody else, then perfect. But you know, if you did like what you see, then please remember, like, subscribe, share. I definitely appreciate it. But that's it. Peace.